Hello and welcome back. In the last section, we looked at getting the access token from the Auth0 platform. We managed to get it using the get access token silently method. We essentially managed to integrate with the API audience here that we actually created up front in the Auth0 platform console. And after that, we have to essentially now integrate that with our actual API. So let's head over back to our API project, and before we can actually pass this token from the UI and pass it on to the API endpoint, and we have to make sure that the API is able to make sense of this token and act accordingly. And what I'm going to do here is head over back to the Auth0 dashboard. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this particular code. And before I can do so, I need to install a few libraries here. One of them being the express-JWT, which has built-in capability to parse the JWT tokens and restructure them. And the JWKS-RSA is going to help you validate the signatures, okay, using the public keys of the Auth0 platform. Alright, so let's head over back to the API in the Cafe project, and I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, there we go. So this is the API in the Cafe project. I'm going to go here, split the terminal so that I can install the new, I actually introduce a new terminal itself, new PowerShell. Okay, so in here I need to go ahead and install a couple of libraries, one of them being express-JWT. Let me copy this. npm I express-JWT. Other one is JWKS-RSA. Let's go ahead and paste it, enter, and let's come back once it's done. Alright, so that's done. So what we're going to do next is let's head over back to the Auth0 dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and copy this bit of code because apparently it's very neatly done. So let me go back to the editor, and inside of the source folder I'm going to define a new inside of the source folder I'm going to define a new folder here, and that's going to be called auth, and inside of that I'm going to go ahead and create a new file called jwt-check. Essentially it means a JSON Web Token Checker, okay, CHECK checker.js. okay, and over here I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. Alright, and before I can do so, I also need to make sure I need to require in those libraries. I'm going to say const jwt is equal to require, okay, and this is going to be express-JWT. Yeah, that's the one. And the next one is JWKS-RSA. So I'm going to say const JWKS-RSA is equal to require JWKS-RSA. Okay, I need to introduce K here. Alright, super. So we are doing pretty nice here. And we need to essentially make sure we parameterize these things. Some of these are actually cannot be in hard-coded format, right? Then I'm going to say module.exports jwt check, right? Okay, actually I'll make it checker, kind of makes it action oriented. Yeah, okay, all right. So with this in place, I'm not sure why this is not used. Okay, it is RS, not RSA. Okay, it's just JWKS. So now we should be good. Let me go ahead and set this terminal. Okay, and our app should be already started here. Okay, alright. And what we're going to do next is we have to go back to our API and invoke this particular middleware when we are calling that API. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So I'm going to head over back to my user.js route. I think this is actually the controller. Let me head over. In fact, let me go ahead and close some of these things. And I don't think I need this either. I need the routes for user. Okay, let's go ahead and use this. And in here, I'm going to go ahead and import a particular JWT checker. Okay, I'm going to say const JWT checker is going to be require, and in here this is going to be auth / JWT checker. Yep, super. And there is a spelling mistake here. All right, and I'm going to make sure this is this route should actually get a middleware, and that's going to be the JWT checker itself. Okay, JWT checker. All right. Okay, super. So we should be good in here. And object undefined. If I go inside here, okay, I think I know what's happening here. I need to essentially give this in double braces. Okay. All right, let's get that done. There we go. Super. So now it should be okay. So now we have this wired up, and what happens right now is if I go back to the library here, it says it is actually going to destructure the JSON Web Token, and that's what it says, parsing the JWT formatted tokens, and it puts the token in the request.user object. And if I go here and look for npm help docs, okay, let's go here, npm, and say express-jwt. Let's look at the documentation, the first link that you get. All right, there we go. And essentially it is, this module provides express middleware for validating JSON Web Tokens through JSON Web Token module. So internally it uses this one, okay, but it's more express friendly. All right, and in here, additional operations. So it essentially gives us how to make sure we do the validation of the tokens, right? Customize token validation, revoke tokens. Somewhere he mentioned that in the express request object, and mentions where the request, where the token would be. Okay, super. I think it is the one. No. Okay, never mind. So you can take my word for it. So essentially, we have to look at what the request.user will contain. So how do we test this now? If we head over to the REST client for user, we need to essentially provide another header here, and that's going to be authorization, that it's going to contain a bearer token, and the token itself would be our JWT token. Okay, so if I head over back to the Auth0 dashboard, I get something like test here. If I can say go to machine applications, and here I can essentially enable this particular API here. Okay, right now it's enabled, but I don't have any permissions set up, so it'll go without the permissions, and we'll come to the permissions but in one of these future lectures. Let's head over to test here, and it actually gives you a token. And yeah, so essentially this is the token. It hits this endpoint and gets a token. It provides the client ID and the client secret, which are not ours, obviously, right? Because then the grant type is client credentials. This is generally done for the process-to-process communication when one process needs to authenticate to the other. Audience is the one, that's fine, but I don't think this is our client ID. Let's head over and check. Could be wrong. Client ID, where's my client ID? It's right here, one that ours ends with 3D. This one is different. Yeah, so it just generates one on the fly at runtime. So let's go ahead and copy this token and paste it in here. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. Copy. And if you look here, again, the GTY is client credentials, and the sub is different this time around, okay, because ours was a sub that had something like Auth0 and pipe and then the ID, and this one is different. And what else do we have? We have the grant type is client credentials, expiry and issued at, and the issuer himself, subject. There is no issuer apparently. Okay, let's go ahead and use this token in our REST client. I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here, and I'm going to essentially change the user, otherwise it's going to fail here, right? So let's see. I'm going to say go ahead and send request. And before I do so, what I want to do though is go inside create user, because that's where I can essentially console log the user. Alright, so we had that sub there, remember, when we actually were looking at it in the on the API side here. Okay, so let's go ahead and print this. Alright, and let it start up, and we can go ahead and execute this request. Okay, fingers crossed. Message invalid token, interesting, but why it is 401? It says 401, unauthorized. Alright, so what we did was we actually didn't copy the entire token here. Okay, so we stopped here at P, and even now I have not copied the E, my mistake. And let me go in and type it in here again. Let's test this now. I can probably, ideally it should be coming here. Let's go ahead and test this again. This time around, hopefully, yeah, user with this already exists. Okay, I think it's talking about the email itself. Sorry about that. I was looking at the ID. Okay, 103. Let's go ahead and put 103 here. That's the right messaging here, which means our API is working just fine. Go ahead and do this. Yes, we can create the stuff in here. And if you want to look at the ID, if you want to look at the sub, right? I don't think the sub was there because this is client credentials. I don't think the sub was there. So what you can just do is we can only go ahead and print the request.user. I don't know if the request.user actually comes in here, because this is GTY. The type is client credentials, so it can only, you can get here. And in fact, it printed that, right, at clients, and the one that ends with at clients, correct? Where was that? Yeah, so it is printing that. Okay, super. So we are looking good here, guys. And the only thing is, let's say I go ahead, change something here right now. Instead of W, I'll just give X, alright, and see what happens. Let's say it should give me a different error. Okay, let's say send this, it says invalid signature here. So all our error handling and everything is intact here. Right now we are getting it in the same way that we're supposed to. Super, guys. And another thing that before we wind up this session, I want to essentially go through was this one. Okay, let me head over to this file, and this is again a publicly available file, and essentially lists all the key IDs, right? And our key ID would be here somewhere. Where is the key ID? I think we got a key ID in there for sure. Okay, let's head over to the JWT debugger. You're right in here. The key ID, yeah, this is the one. Okay, and if I go in here, I should be able to find that. Control F, Control V. Yeah, there it is. It says a lot of things here. I think this one is this is essentially the public key, right, for this particular corresponding key ID, and it uses RS-256 and all those details in here. So let's take a pause here, and what I'm going to do though is I'm going to essentially transfer some of these things to my .yme file and restart this whole stuff. So take a pause here and come back soon.